Cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war. What's up, ladies and gents? But let's face it, definitely more gents than ladies. It's Michael here, and welcome back to another FudgeMuppet Fallout 4 build. Now, before we get into the build, I want to strongly recommend that you go check out a skit we made called The Quest for Elder Scrolls 6. We shot that with Camelworks. It was a whole lot of fun, so be sure to check it out. There'll be a link on screen. And keep your eyes peeled for our upcoming skit. It's all about vegetables. Today's fortnightly fun fest is a demolitions expert build called the Devastator, an individual with an immense talent for major damage and widespread destruction. The playstyle will, of course, involve the staple use of explosives, as you will be endowed with the firepower to level entire cities, tear enemies greater than yourself down, and bring those who oppose you to their very knees. Get comfortable with metal, as your power armor will become your second skin. Roaming the lands as a hulking metallic juggernaut, you can also look forward to ascending into the heavens and raining down hell on the realm below. Missiles, landmines, grenades, why fight fire with fire when you can get your hands on napalm? Fear not, as this isn't a one-trick pony build. When forced to confront the limits of explosives or simply to conserve ammunition, the Devastator can also charge hostiles head on, running down his enemies in a suit of armor armed with nothing more than a ripper, like the knights of old. In any case, prepare yourself for a high testosterone time with this heavy-duty unit. Follow us on Snapchat and Twitter to see us not use the dog filter like a basic bitch, or just to catch a glimpse of our personal lives, along with some other behind the scenes content. And also, if you haven't already done so, be sure to hit the like button. I mean, if you want to. I'm not your mum, so do whatever you like. There was nothing overly inspiring about the Devastator's formative years. That said, he was really smart. Conveniently, before he was set to graduate college as a mechanical engineer, the war broke out and the Devastator enlisted. Great men are not great from birth, but rather forged from the furnaces of conflict, and this is no less true about the Devastator. Enlisting in the military, he initially found himself in the robotics division, utilizing his background and education in a way that seemed logical. After additional training under a newly established detachment, the Devastator served not only in a research and deployment capacity, but also as a combat engineer with repair and maintenance duties in the field. It was here that the Devastator developed a fondness for explosives, becoming intoxicated with the thrill of having such unprecedented power. The instantaneous access of mass destruction through high-octane weaponry gave him a rush which had been otherwise absent from his monotonous life. With the research and development freedoms given to him by the Applied Science Division of the United States Armed Forces, the Devastator began experimenting with modified versions of the currently issued weaponry. He'd create all kinds of interesting gear. However, the most outstanding point in the Devastator's military career happened under the authority of General Brock when he was stationed in Fort Strong. The Devastator was obsessed with power armor and had been working on T-45D quite obsessively. Eventually, he came up with something truly brilliant. He developed the T-51B power armor, an evolution of its predecessor far more mobile and utilitarian in function. This would effectively cement the US's warfare domination over China. Throughout it all, the Devastator's actions were never motivated by a personal story of morality, patriotism, or any kind of ideology for that matter. His passion was not for his country nor brother in arms, but just the pure joy of being at the top of his game. The Devastator was at the top of his game for a long while, till eventually he felt like he needed a break from such a loud lifestyle, even if it was only a small break. The Devastator was honorably discharged, leaving behind great amounts of technological innovation, his power armor enhancements allowing the T-60 model to later be created. The Devastator resumed civilian life as a decorated veteran for years, satisfied with himself and what he had achieved. He decided to get back to basics, and over time he settled down with a nice girl, started a family, and lived his days in leisure. He would obviously want to somehow continue exploring his passion on the side. The thing about a soldier's path is that no matter how much you think you've reached the road's end, ultimately you do not get to decide when the end has come. As the bombs fell, the Devastator learnt firsthand that despite leaving the firefight, it was far from ready to leave him. Like every good father in the Fallout world, he will search far and wide for his missing son. With the institutions of yesterday wiped out, the Devastator exits the vault and soon joins the Brotherhood of Steel. the Brotherhood having been formed by former US soldiers and the closest he would come to the military organization he'd grown accustomed to. Their resources will be a notable asset in your quest for your son's recovery. Devoted to the science of warfare and weaponry, he will obviously seek out opportunities to gain access to heavy-duty explosives, machinery, vehicles, and big-ass toys for big-ass boys. Naturally, this inclination, in addition to his past, will compel him to work with power armor extensively. As you can see, power armor becomes your second skin in this playthrough. Similar to his pre-vault self, the Devastator is not driven by any great belief or personal code, aside from proving himself to be the best at what he does, and also chasing a bit of an adrenaline fix. He will appreciate being able to work with technology, placing his faith in it as the last hope and salvation for this godforsaken wasteland. It will be all that he has left. In the grand scheme of things, the Devastator will help to install much needed authority in a world filled with anarchy. With the start game special stats, you'll want to have 2 strength, 4 perception, 9 endurance, 1 charisma, 9 intelligence, 1 agility, and 2 luck. Now I know what you're thinking, 2 strength, but keep in mind the Devastator spent the majority of his military career developing weaponry and would not have had to meet combat training requirements beyond the basics. The additional training he received in the backstory was purely tactical. This was not to be an issue as the power armor will automatically bring our strength stat up to an 11. This will allow us to cause lots of melee damage. 4 perception will allow us to access Demolition Expert once we get our hands on the bobblehead, which will be straight away if you know what you're doing. After field testing tons of dangerous weaponry and running endless support operations in the field, our endurance will be a solid 9. Ample health to sustain us in even the hairiest situations. Additionally, this special book will be used on endurance. Charisma won't matter that much. We will be able to find ammo instead of buying it via the Scrounger perk, but we can also afford ammunition to buy by selling the spare ammo we come across using the Scrounger perk. The intelligence is a given, allowing us to access the nuclear physicist perk, so we may never find the need to stray from our trusty power armor. Leveling will also be an easy task. On the point of agility, it is yet another stat that won't require a high amount of attention, as although our jetpack will use action points to run, it doesn't necessarily have to reach great heights. On a final note, get all the bobbleheads you can and really just have fun with it. Now we're going to get into the perk section. Just like our last build, you'll be able to see everything you need on screen. If you need to pause the video to screenshot all these perks, then definitely do that. Obviously, Nuclear Physicist is going to be foundational for the Devastator, as it allows him to use his power armor all the time by increasing the life of his fusion cores. At rank 3, you can also eject fusion cores like grenades, and this is awesome for an explosives build such as this. Now, because you'll be in power armor all the time, your strength will automatically be 11, meaning that immense strength allocation isn't super important. You will be getting big leaks, however, to ultimately double your melee damage. Science and armor will be used to customize and work on your power armor, and obviously they fit in well with the backstory, as does the Gun Nut perk. Gun Nut will be great for adding extra damage and features to your entire arsenal. Demolition Expert, the perk of course, will also be a massive boost to the effectiveness of this build. Killing things instantly will definitely help conserve ammunition. Ammunition will further be conserved using Scrounger, and you can sell all the ammo you find which you don't use for a good amount of caps in case you do need to buy explosives. The last rank of Scrounger will also be super helpful, as you'll often find yourself receiving lots of free ammunition when you reload. You'll want to make lots of explosives such as grenades and mines, and that's why Scrapper will be a great perk to take things apart for materials. Obviously, Scrapper will benefit building your guns and armor a lot too. Finally, we're also adding to our big gun damage with the Heavy Gunner perk, although these massive guns do heaps of damage anyway, so this perk isn't a priority. We've allocated investment into the strength stat to get this perk. Not including gear, but including bobbleheads, the Devastator should end up with 5 strength, 5 perception, 11 endurance, 2 charisma, 10 intelligence, 2 agility, and 3 luck. As stated before, the power armor will serve as a second skin, so it obviously won't really matter what you wear or look like underneath, because deep down, everyone is beautiful. For the sake of consistency with the narrative, however, you could try finding some military fatigues. So with that in mind, find whatever power armor you can as early as possible and ride it out until you can get yourself some XO1 power armor. You will end up wearing an almost complete set of this, with the exception being the helmet, which will be a T51 model. For you veteran fans out there, you will know that we at FudgeMuppet are all about aesthetics. We will find that the T51 helmet gives this build a really badass appearance, especially with the red headlamp attachment, and it definitely fits in with the backstory in a cool way. For your power armor, you will want the explosive shielding paint to reduce potential damage you may take from explosives, often from your own in the heat of battle. It's okay, it happens to everyone. On the torso, you will want to strap a jetpack on for maneuverability, as well as to utilize the mod we're using on our leg pieces. What mod is that? The explosive vents mod, of course. This will mean that every time you land, an explosion will be sure to detonate around the ground beneath your boots. Arm modifications will be irrelevant, and the headpiece mod will ultimately be up to you, but we like the internal database to boost our intelligence, making leveling up even faster than it already is with our stats. In terms of our own personal arsenal, it will mainly consist of explosives. Did you guess explosives? Because it's explosives. This will range from a fat man, potentially the legendary version known as the big boy, allowing you to shoot 2 projectiles simultaneously, a missile launcher, potentially the legendary version known as the party starter, which gives you 50% bonus damage against human hostiles, and all kinds of landmines and grenades that you will want to craft yourself. Get creative with it, play around and mod the damage to your liking, which if you know what's good for you will be the max. As for melee weapons, use whatever is best in the early game as long as you end up with the Ripper. We highly recommend it. A unique version known as the Harvester can be found in the Far Harbor DLC, which makes every foe you attack stagger a lot. To mod it fully, you will have to find an extended Ripper and switch the mod over. And to top it off, you can also take advantage of vertibirds for additional fun. Remember to check out our guides in the description if you need help finding anything at all. While companions can be used with the Devastator, they will not really be all that useful. Paladin Dance would be a cool option as he is decked out in power armor, but do keep in mind you can throw any companion you want in a suit of power armor. Your choices are broad and open. Just be sure not to make any alliances with ghouls, synths, or super mutant friends as per the Brotherhood standards. You will have the resources to make your own base armed to the teeth with explosive defenses and everything else the Devastator desires. However, similarly to having a companion with this build, it will be a peripheral concern. Focus on you and finding plenty of you time. You time being you and the super mutants you're about to decimate. And that concludes another FudgeMuppet Fallout 4 build. Be sure to come back to us in 2 weeks for another fresh with a capital P role-playing experience. Throw us a like if you like the smell of napalm in the morning, a share if you want to light it up like the 4th of July, and definitely subscribe to us again for old time's sake, because you know you're already subscribed. In any case, be sure to look out for our skit coming up, and I will look forward to seeing you all again very soon.